So it needn't be a choice of career or parenting. You can have both. And I think women need to be educated and empowered to know that they have this option of freezing the eggs. Once you know this option exists, it's pretty hard for the mind not to make use of this option, to give you peace of mind. And maybe you go through the process and realize, I don't need this process in 10 years' time. But you've got that peace of mind while you're focusing on your career, that those embryos are cryopreserved for you. When people hear about egg or embryo freezing, they panic about the thought of injections and about what they've got to go through. Just to give you a bit of background, we ovulate around about day 14 of our cycle. But at the beginning of every cycle, we produce hundreds to thousands of follicles. Only one matures to day 14, and that's what we ovulate. So with the process of egg donation or egg freezing or embryo freezing, we stimulate you, the woman, with injections, hormonal injections, for about 8 days. They're small needles under the skin in your tummy. They're not burny, and you would do this every day and go through about 3 ultrasounds, and then when they're at the right size, which is about 18 millimeters, we bring you into theater, and through a very painless procedure, we put you to sleep with conscious sedation, and then we remove the eggs out of the follicles with a small needle. There's no cutting, there's no stitching, there's nothing invasive that happens. You wake up and you get told the number of eggs you have. And then you have an option to freeze those eggs on the day. And they use extremely low temperatures to suddenly freeze the eggs and then put them in a laboratory. And when you're ready to thaw them, we place them in the uterus in a cycle where your lining is thickened. If you're wanting to freeze embryos, straight after those eggs are removed, we put them in a petri dish with your husband's sperm, or with donor sperm, which is where some women are going. And then we wait until 5 days later to see how these embryos develop. And then we do the same process. We cryopreserve them, we freeze them, and we put them in an incubator, and they can rest there for a number of years. My name is Mandy Rodrigues, and I'm a clinical psychologist in private practice. I'm also chairperson of the fertility board of South Africa called SASREG. So I've been in practice for the last 30 years, and what's interesting in the last 10 years is we're getting older patients presenting to the practice, mostly in the corporate world. And they either haven't found a partner because they've been focused on their work, or they're coming with their husbands in their late to kind of early 40s. And the problem being that the egg quality is low and they've maybe run out of eggs. The field of medicine, especially in the reproductive field, has made leaps and bounds in the last 10 years. So I battled with infertility 30 years ago. And at that stage, there were no fertility groups. There was no awareness of how eggs can run out and how what we call your AMH, which is the number of eggs you have, which decreases from the age of 28. There was no knowledge on the fact that you could actually go in and put your babies on ice. A lot of patients I'm seeing are actually coming with resentment because they're not educated about the fact that when they're chasing their careers and in the corporate world, that they can actually delay their fertility. And let's face it, once you reach that stage of battling with infertility, it's a roller coaster of emotions. And it's got an impact on your job, it's got an impact on your marriage, an impact on your social environment. And if we could just educate people to let them know that as soon as they're aware, even if it's the age of 24, 25, they're able to go and see a fertility counselor, establish what their egg quality looks like, and possibly put these eggs on ice. That's going to make a huge difference. It's going to make a huge difference for you once you reach that age of kind of deciding to settle down and take the next step. You can then go for your careers. You can achieve how you want, but you've got the peace of mind that you've got your eggs on ice. You can even do embryos on ice. We've always known that we've got the ability to freeze sperm up to 20, 30 years. And the freezing of eggs is a relatively new concept, kind of 10 years ago. But we also have the option of freezing embryos. So if a husband and wife decide they're going to delay parenting for some time, either they're chasing their career or they want to be kind of married and get used to one another for a few years, they have that option of fertilizing their gametes and freezing them on ice. And again, they can make use of these gametes when they're 40 years old, 50 years old if they want to, because they're preserved and they're frozen at the age that we freeze them. So we know our eggs decrease from the age of 28. And if we can freeze round about that age, by the time you're 40 years old or 42 years old, you're using the quality of eggs that you would have had in your 20s. And we know that lowers the risk of Down syndrome, chromosomal disorders, and it gives for a healthier baby in the long run.